I don't know about you guys, but I never go right into the middle of, if I'm reading a book, I never just go right into the middle and just start reading from there. Like it doesn't, I'll be like, who's this guy? What's so important about him? Who's this guy? And like, who's this lady? Whatever. So in order to sort of understand, like, if you want to go further into God's word, like, I would suggest, first of all, going through the Old Testament. I know it's super boring, or, you've got all these ideas of, oh, yeah, there was this story of like David and Goliath and like Noah and the flood. And, you've got all these stories in your head that you would have sort of learned from kids' church or just heard, in Spark. But what's really interesting about like the Old Testament is that it actually shines a light and points to and prophesies about specific individuals. So, for example, from Isaiah, it talks about how there's going to be a suffering servant, or there's going to be a Messiah, or there's going to be a king who comes from the line of David and the stump of Jesse. So all these different, like, I think there's four. There's like high priest. There's the king from the line of David. There's a suffering servant, and maybe a great prophet or a Messiah, whatever the fourth one is. But it all points to someone. And that's when we start the four Gospels, where we actually see, well, it's actually Jesus is that suffering servant. Jesus is the lamb that is to be slain. Jesus is the one that's going to redeem us. Jesus is the one that is our king. And specifically, that comes right from Matthew 1, where we see the genealogy of Jesus Christ, all the way from Abraham fathering, everyone. And it just keeps going down, 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 down till David, and then from David's line all the way through to Jesus. So everything in the Old Testament has come to pass about who is this person that's going to fulfill Old Testament prophecy, and that ends up being Jesus. And that is where the four Gospels comes in. So like Jim sort of mentioned in the first question, Mark is the one to start with, not only because it's the shortest, but I think it gives you sort of a more holistic overview of who is Jesus, what is he actually come here to do, what are his teachings. And the way that I sort of see the four Gospels is, it's like, this is the story, this is the gospel, or also known as the good news, and there's four different aspects, so four different perspectives, but they all point to the same truth. So if you've got any questions, feel free to ask, or just start reading Mark. It's good because it's quite an easy read, because it's just like a narrative, like a story. So start from Mark. We've already sort of gone through the end of Matthew, but after that, you'll sort of start to be like, oh, I swear I've seen this parable, or like I've heard Jesus say this before in the other Gospels, and that's sort of what the purpose is, that it is four different perspectives talking about the same guy with the same message, and the same call to action. Are you going to respond to the coming of the kingdom of heaven and the coming of the Son of Man, or are you just going to sit idle and live your best life and then it be too late? So start with the Old Testament, read it through. I can help you do that if you would like to understand the Old Testament. And yeah, and then go from there, and then go straight to Mark, or just start at Mark and then work backwards.